What's up, everyone? Welcome into DodgerHeads, presented by DodgerBlue.com, part of the Blue Wire Podcast Network. My name is Jeff Spiegel, joined today, special guest Alex Padilla. You can see from behind him, he is part of Kaplan and Crew on Sirius XM and Sports Grid 5 days a week, I believe, right, Alex?
Yep. Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to noon.
Love it. Love it. Well, I was on their show this morning talking a little Dodgers, Padres. Alex is a Padres guy on a Scott Kaplan, who's been on our show before, another Padres guy. So we thought it'd be fun to have Alex on and talk a little bit about the series we just watched. It didn't go great, Alex, for us. It went great for you and the
Yeah.
Padres. And I don't know if our conversation to hear your perspective on the Padres, your perspective on the Dodgers, I don't know if our folks are going to leave encouraged or depressed, but I'm excited to dive into it. So give me just pulse check. San Diego, you sweep the Dodgers. The lead is down to 4.5 games in the division. Are people confident? Are people nervous? Are people, it doesn't matter, we're going to lose anyways? Like, where are people at?
I think the tone has changed a lot. I could feel it. You can see it on social media. You could feel it. It's palpable around the city when you go to games. The team's been 500. They've been 500 all year. And right before the break, they kind of got a little bit of a tough stretch there. But with the moves that AJ Preller made, which we have grown accustomed to here, and they're 9-2 after the All-Star break, and they've beat some really good teams. They obviously the Dodgers the last 2 games. They beat the Guardians in a series. They beat the Orioles in a series. They swept the Nationals, who all of a sudden it's become a rivalry for some reason. But yeah, man, I could feel the confidence growing. I myself have been. I just think they're like a 500 team. I really genuinely do. A couple games better. But I think that what they did in the trade deadline, they shored up that bullpen. I don't see why they wouldn't be a playoff team. Division, never know. I think the Dodgers are going to be really hard to beat.
Yeah, you mentioned on the show this morning that you're kind of, some would call a realist, some would call negative about your own team.
Yeah.
So you look at this team 9-1 in their last 10. You just mentioned all the teams they beat. The second game against the Dodgers, obviously in convincing fashion. The first one come from behind, but you're still not sort of quote unquote buying into the hype of this team being anything more than kind of a wild card team. It doesn't sound like.
I got to see it to believe it, to be totally honest with you. And when it comes to the wild card, it's just because what the Dodgers are. If the Padres were in a different division, I think it'd be a separate conversation. I mean, the Dodgers, you know this, like you guys are so beat up right now that we took advantage of a beat up team, which is great. But when Mookie comes back and Freeman comes back, and all of a sudden things change, and I think what Teoscar Hernandez has done this year has been incredible. And I mean, Shohei's going to be Shohei, even though he's bad against the Padres. I don't know what it is in his career. He's bad against the Padres, but I just think there's too much firepower to just count on the Dodgers losing like they're losing right now. Like they've lost in July. Once you guys get everybody back, that's why I think I'm a realist when it comes to that, realist or whatever. It's just because the Dodgers. It's not because I don't think the Padres are worthy. I just don't see how they can beat the Dodgers in a season like that.
Yeah,
you guys win 100 games every year.
No, for sure. I get it. And it's always fun for me to hear just perspectives from other fans of the Dodgers, because you know how it is. I mean, you've got Padres fans in your life that probably think you're now the World Series favorites after sweeping the Dodgers. And then I know your co-host, who I was on with this morning, was telling everybody to chill. Like, no, don't get your hopes up. Don't get your expectations up.
He's funny. He's very funny because he's like, he doesn't want to talk about the division at all, but he thinks that they're going to ramble off like they're going to be the best team in the second half of the season. He keeps saying that, but he's like, well, don't talk about the division. That doesn't make any sense to me. But yeah, I think we have realistic expectations as a show.
Yeah.
I don't think they necessarily match the fan base, though, if that makes sense.
No, I get it. I get it. You mentioned AJ Preller. What do Padre fans think of Preller? Like, there's obviously the trades are exciting, and Dodger fans are constantly like, we need to be aggressive. We need to be aggressive. Padre fans don't have to worry about being aggressive. Sometimes it hasn't really worked out. Sometimes when the prospect cost comes up, there's some criticism from the prospect world. So they make a big move for Tanner Scott among a couple other moves that they made. Was this generally a deadline where people are applauding AJ Preller? Is it a mixed bag of like, holy crap, what did we have to give up? Where are people at?
I think it's a mixed bag. Absolutely, man. It's a mixed bag by me. I mean, the guy's been here for 11 seasons now, and he's done so many trades, and he's tried to win so many different ways. And they got one series win over the Dodgers in the playoffs, and that's like the championship that he's had, right? That's what everybody goes back to, is that series against the Dodgers in the playoffs. I think that I don't look at prospects other than I don't ever look at a player. I look
Yeah,
at them as assets. You know, I see a number and I'm like, cool, because you never know. Right? You
yeah,
never know what they're going to turn.
totally.
But to trade 15 of his top 17 guys, something like that, March, that's crazy. That's crazy. And here I don't know how familiar you are, but the Padres owner passed away in the offseason, and he was he was obsessed with AJ Preller. So we kind of thought that was his safety blanket. And this
Got
new
it.
ownership that's kind of taken over, we were under the assumption we're like, yo, if the Padres don't make the playoffs, they're gonna fire him. Like, because
Yeah,
safety blanket's gone. But I don't think that's the case anymore, because there's no way you let the guy dismantle your farm system if you're thinking about firing him in the offseason. So
yeah,
he's all in. I don't think he has any idea how to not be all in,
yeah,
especially because with the roster and the money that they've put together here. And for me, it's put up or shut up. Like, you got to make
yeah,
the postseason again. And I don't think a wild card is enough. I really don't. I really genuinely think you got to get somewhere else. You got to advance. You have to show improvement, because this is the team, man. This is the
yeah.
team. That core is not going anywhere. Your core is not going anywhere. This core is not going anywhere. It's time to win.
Yeah. You guys make the move for Tanner Scott. Again, a
Mhm.
couple other relievers. What are, obviously Scott was the best guy available. I
Right.
wouldn't say he's perfect, but, cost aside, he was
Mhm.
one of the most coveted. He's probably him and Flaherty 1 and 2, probably the biggest
Right.
impact guys that were moved.
Mhm.
So is there a jolt that comes with adding
The
the guys that they've added? I mean, I know it's bullpen pieces, but
Right.
they're
No,
good
but the
ones at least.
bullpen here has been awful. The
Yeah.
bullpen's been terrible here. I mean, they spent money on Yuki Matsui, who's been so up and down. They got a Korean player named Woo Suk Go that they traded in part at some point during this season. He never even made an appearance for the Padres. Wandy Peralta was just shipped off to New York. Like, the bullpen was a disaster, man,
Yeah.
a disaster. So now you're looking at a bullpen with Robert Suarez and Tanner Scott to in there. Jason Adam, who's been one of the best relievers in baseball, and
Yeah.
Jeremiah Estrada, who nobody knows of, but who's been excellent. He's kind of been the only other guy besides Robert Suarez. You look at those 4 or 5 guys, all of
Yeah.
a sudden, if our starting rotation isn't going deep, you kind of don't mind it anymore. Whereas, like,
Yeah.
we would be so reliant on Dylan Cease, like, going 7, Michael King going 7, because the bullpen was terrible. I think AJ did an excellent job in ensuring that the Padres have a playoff bullpen. Absolutely,
Yeah.
man. Like, Robert Suarez is incredible. Like, we don't even miss Josh Hader. We kind of prefer Josh Hader being gone, to be honest, with all his rules. All his I don't pitch more than 2 days in a row. I only
Yeah.
get 3 outs. Don't bring me in the middle of the ninth. I need to start the ninth. Like, later, dude. We got Robert Suarez. That dude comes in, he gets 5 outs, 6 outs, whatever you need. He's great.
Was that Hater thing a big story? Like, because I know that
Yeah.
big piece
Yeah.
came out, and how
Mhm.
much of that was like common knowledge, and how much of
Mhm.
it was like after the fact? You're like, oh, okay, this makes sense given
Right.
what we saw.
So this is very, very inside, and I don't anticipate Dodger fans knowing this or remembering this, but it was a series in July against the San Francisco Giants. They just came off a win streak, and the Padres were off a win streak, and they were in San Francisco. Josh Hader had pitched the previous 2 days to lock in a series victory. On Monday night, he's not available.
Yeah,
He's just like, not pitching tonight, and they blow a lead and they blow the game, and then they just, like, start spiraling, man. Like, just that was the beginning of the end for the Padres last year. And it like he all the rules started coming out after that. Like, Bob
got
Melvin had no secret, was no problem throwing him under the bus. Like, Bob
it.
Melvin had no problem throwing any players under the bus last year. And we start hearing, like, well, we got the closer that doesn't go 3. We got the closer that doesn't want to come in the middle of it's got to be like a perfect save situation for Josh Hader. And he made no bones about it. Like, he was looking to get paid, and he was
Yeah,
ensuring that he would be healthy to get paid, and he got paid. So it worked out for him. He's in Houston. He's getting paid. I've seen him do multiple innings now. So it
yeah,
was just last year he just wouldn't do it. And it was a big story, man. Like, we talked about it endlessly. Like,
yeah. I bet.
endlessly. Yeah.
I mean, I remember when it came out, and I was kind of like, I sort of get it from his end. Like, it's kind of like the Garrett Crochet thing, where you're like,
Mhm.
from a player, their selfish view, I understand. Like, hey, if you're not going to pay me, and I'm absorbing all of the risk, then
Mhm.
like I need to do what's best for me, which I think is part of the
Right.
reason he got shipped out of Milwaukee to begin with. But
Mhm.
then also on the flip side, there's something about team sports where you kind of are like, hey, but like we also are trying to win, and
Right.
you're the guy that we brought in, and you weren't cheap to bring in, so it's
Right.
a tricky balance.
Yeah, and especially, dude, think about it, man. The Padres completely underperformed last season. You got Juan Soto, who everybody was like, are they
Yeah,
gonna trade him at the deadline? They didn't end up doing it. You had Blake Snell somehow doing a Cy Young season,
Yeah.
And the Padres, they got some pieces at the deadline, and haters like, nope, not doing it, not
Yeah.
doing it. And you could there was so much drama last season, man. But that's all gone, dude. Like they fired
Yeah.
Melvin, they got rid of Hader, Soto's gone, Snell's gone, and you're like, oh, we're not going to be as good. They're better because they
Yeah.
just get along with each other. And Mike Schultz pushed all the right buttons so far.
Let's talk about the rest because obviously the Dodgers come in and have the excuse of like a
Mhm.
lot of guys who weren't playing. Padres have a bunch of guys not playing either.
Mhm.
What's reasonable to expect from guys like Tatis, Darvish,
Yeah.
and some of the other pieces who are not currently playing?
Well, I'll start off with just like the easy one. That's Tatis. Like they're just saying at the end of the month, maybe they had like a stress reaction in his femur bone, and they played through it all season long, and it just got worse. They had to go on the IL. He's kind of becoming a guy that you can't trust to play 160 games anymore. Like his whole career, he's gotten hurt and
Yeah.
then got suspended. So he's anticipated to come back, which I think is necessary because our right field right now it's like it's brutal. So he'll.
David Peralta started a game
Mhm.
this series, which Dodger
Mhm.
fans made them smile.
Yep, and we got Johnson out there who's hitting like below 100, I think, as the backup. So it's pretty brutal out there. So to put him back would be great. As far as Joe Musgrove, he's pitching on Sunday, I believe, in the minor
Okay.
league game, and he should be back, and he'll be eased into it, kind of like Kershaw's getting eased into it as well. Yu Darvish is the one where we don't know, man. Like you guys got Freddie Freeman, and for a family matter, he's on a list as well. He's not playing. Like same thing. Like there's rumors of Darvish and what's going on with his family, but we don't know. He's on the
Got it.
restricted list, and he's like voluntarily told the Padres, "Don't pay me. I don't know if I'm coming back this
Wow.
season." And we just don't know. And that was a storyline here for a while too, because we're like, "What's going on?" And it just rumors are that brother has cancer or something. There's not confirmed,
Got it.
nothing. So we know it's a family thing, and we know that he's not here, and we have no idea what's going on. We've had no updates. We don't know if he's pitching. We don't know if he's in San Diego. We don't know if he's in Japan.
Crazy.
No clue. So starting pitching, I thought Preller would go get a starting pitcher. I didn't know they got someone too. I don't even know who it is. Some lefty from New York, I think, or Pittsburgh. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, in the injury game, you're playing the same thing as us. Like we were talking
Yep.
this morning, Max Muncy's update. Like, yeah, well, we
Mhm.
think it was a breakthrough. We think he's coming back soon. Yamamoto, who
Mhm.
knows? So, I mean, that's the name of the game, right? Is everybody wants to get
Mhm.
healthy. But I think Alex, what's so interesting to me is, I think as Dodger fans, when it was a 6, 7, 8 game divisional lead, you're like, yeah, they'll figure it out. Guys will get
Mhm.
healthy. Now, we talked a little bit about this on your show, but looking ahead, the Dodgers are not going to be super healthy still for the next couple weeks. Like
Right.
Mookie, Muncy, and Edman are all probably out for at least another week, maybe two.
Mhm.
Gratterall probably in that list as well, and then Yamamoto, who knows? And the
Mhm.
Dodgers have a crazy slate coming up for the next month. And then you look at the Padres schedule, and you guys play the Rockies, the Pirates, the Marlins, and the Pirates again,
Yeah.
and then the Rockies. So basically, from now till the 18th, you play the Rockies 6 times, the Marlins 3 times, and the Pirates 6 times. And I know the Pirates
Mhm.
are, slightly above 500, but
Right.
I'll be honest, as a Dodgers fan, I'm looking at that stretch and saying,
Right.
I wouldn't be shocked if on August 18th, this
Yeah.
divisional lead was completely evaporated for the Dodgers.
Yeah, dude, and what's really interesting, and I watch F1. I love watching F1 racing, and I feel like an F1 driver right now because I'm looking ahead. I'm trying to pass the guy in front. I'm looking at the Dodgers, like I want to pass the Dodgers, but at the same breath, like there's a car right behind me. That's the Diamondbacks.
Yeah.
Like so as I'm getting closer, this dude behind me can pass me too because the Diamondbacks are getting healthy. Like
Yeah.
everything that we're talking about when the Padres get healthy, when the Dodgers get healthy, the Diamondbacks have gotten healthy. And
Yeah.
now look at them. Like they are half a game behind the Padres because they've played one game less. That's the only reason. So, yeah, dude, it is gonna be interesting to say the least. But I mean, you tell me, man. Like I love talking to Dodger fans. There's always like this brash confidence about Dodger fans in the division specifically.
Yeah.
And I don't, for the first time, I don't get the sense that there's a lot of confidence though.
It's hard because I think you have people whose expectation is like it's almost like the division isn't enough. Like
Mhm.
it's sort of like we could win the division and people would still be disappointed in this team.
Right.
You've also got people that say, who cares if they win the division? All that matters is are they going to win a World Series, which I think is
Mhm.
also fair. So I think you've got some people that are super pissed and oh, what a disappointment. I can't believe it's only 4.5 games. The Padres are going to catch us. You have other
Mhm.
people that say, like, I actually don't care what happens over the next 3 weeks as long as the Dodgers make the playoffs and then get ready and get healthy. And so
Mhm.
I do think you're right. I think there's a lack of confidence just because of what we've seen. And because, like, I mean, the lineup we trotted out, the 2 games in San Diego was not ideal.
Not
Let's say
ideal.
that,
Yeah.
they probably had 5 starters in their 1 through 9 who weren't playing. If you look at their playoff rotation, Yamamoto's not there. Flaherty hasn't pitched yet. So 2 of your
Right.
top 3 pitchers aren't in there yet. The bullpen's a disaster. So I
Mhm.
think there's some real, like, I'll speak for myself. I think this series in San Diego was the first time that I started to entertain the idea of, like, man, I actually think this is going to be a race. And
Mhm.
I think that might be fun. Like, honestly, it might be good for the Dodgers to have to put their pedal, all the way to the ground for the whole
Yeah.
month of September, and actually end of August, early September, be playing for something meaningful. Like, I actually think that might be a
Yeah.
benefit to a team in the Dodgers that's kind of been able to ease off the gas for the last 4 weeks of most seasons and then try and turn the
Right.
switch back on in October.
Yeah, man, you're right. I mean, that's a good point. I never thought about it that way. Like the Dodgers have cruised to the division championship for years, except that one time with the Giants, like
Yeah.
two, 3 years ago. Maybe that does contribute to them having to turn it on in the
Yeah.
postseason and not being able to.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a good point. I never thought about it.
And the flip side to all this is, like, even the wild card, I wouldn't say for any of us is guaranteed, because you mentioned
Right.
I think the Dodgers, or I think it's the Padres, have like a half game lead on the wild card right
I
now,
think it's
something
the
like that.
Braves by half, and then the
Okay.
Padres and the Diamondbacks, I believe.
So I mean, the Dodgers, like, if you're the Dodgers, you're only like 5.5 games up on the wild card right now. So
Hmm.
4.5 in the division's one thing, but it's not like then you've got another 6 game buffer to just making
Yeah,
the playoffs. I'm not worried about. I think the Dodgers have a 99% chance of making the playoffs on like
yeah,
ESPN or whatever. But
right.
again, I've told people I think the next 2 weeks could get ugly, and then you hope guys get healthy. You hope they
Hmm.
flip the switch, and you know, I think the Dodgers, when healthy, are still in the top 2 or 3 teams in Major League Baseball. But
Yeah,
until they get there,
yeah,
it doesn't really matter what you look like on paper if you're not
right.
playing that way.
Yeah, I mean, over here, it's kind of like, uh, I hate to say it, but it's like this Jerks and Profar saved our season. Jackson
Yeah,
Merrill
right.
has not. It's not like Tatis. It's not Bogarts. It's not Machado. Like Bogarts and Machado playing a lot better lately, but for the majority of the season, it was Jerks and Profar. I
Crazy.
mean, you remember the whole irrelevant thing
Oh, yeah.
against the Dodgers and all that. It's like, and Jackson Merrill, if it wasn't for Paul Skeens, probably Rookie of the Year, maybe.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, he's been lights out. It's wild to see, because without those two guys, who knows what the Padres are? Like,
Yeah.
honestly. And if they stop playing to the level they've been playing, the Padres could easily be back in trouble again. Like, I don't
Yeah.
think it's all like, all systems go here. They really need to earn almost every victory. Whereas
Yeah.
the Dodgers, it's like, when healthy, you guys are so talented that you don't have to play your absolute best. I think the Padres have to play their absolute best most games to win.
Yeah. Well, Alex, I appreciate the time. I appreciate the insight. It's fun to talk and get a
Of
perspective
course.
from the outside. Let people know where they can find Kaplan and Crew and anything else you've
Mhm.
got going on.
Yeah, kaplanandcrew.com is we're everywhere, like most shows nowadays. We're on YouTube, Kaplan and Crew, Spotify, Apple, Amazon, everything. And then now we've just started going on Sports Grid, 10 a.m. Pacific time. And we're also on Sirius XM channel 159 as well.
Love it. I love it. And where can they find
Yeah.
you on social media?
Yeah, at Alex Padilla 86, I believe. Yeah, Alex Padilla 86. Yeah, the senator took my name, so the senator of Alex Padilla in California. I couldn't
There
get the
you go.
real one, so I had to throw a
If any
number in
if
there.
any Dodgers fans want a Padres fan to interact with on social media, there's
Yeah,
Alex. Go find
there
him.
you go.
Start sending him some notes.
Yeah.
Hey, we appreciate the time again.
Of
Thanks for having
course,
me on
man.
your show earlier today, and
That was fun.
later in the
Thank you.
season we'll have to do it again sometime.
Absolutely, dude. Thanks.
All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us on Dodger Heads. Again, please subscribe, ring the notification bell down below. Check us out, Dodger Heads Podcast, Apple, Spotify, Google, DodgerBlue.com as well. We will see you next time. Go Dodgers.